Good day, YouTube, back with another video here. And as you can see, this is the 2009 Chevy Silverado. I have done prior videos on this truck, but this is just one area here that I never really invested the time to fix because it did not really affect the functionality of the truck, but just the appearance. Since I was only using this as a work truck just to kind of move things back and forth, but I finally decided to actually just invest some time to fix up this little corner here that had a dent, and side by side of that was the door that was also dented, and I believe I do have a video for that. But as you can see, it's just this little small quarter here behind the rear door, and it's spaced between the door and actually the bed of the truck, which has a curve. I've already pulled out the major indented area to where I kind of got the surface out to where it's not dented as much, but there's a bunch of little lumps that came about due to the metal stick that I used from the inside to actually push the metal out. Now, as you can see, this panel also had prior damage because there is body filler and the surface was just not that straight. So this is a quick fix. It actually only took me about, I'd say, 5 hours to sand it down just to see what I was working with, to smooth out the body filler, which was actually already there, before I move on to apply any other layerings over the part here. Now I got it smooth, got all of the dust out, and here I am just applying my body filler. So I'll build it back up just to sand it down to create the proper curvature of the truck here. So I'm just mixing my harder, giving it time to actually blend in with the hardener that's within the body filler. And I'll just apply it here. Make sure when you're applying it that you're giving it a firm press so that in between the panel and the body filler there's no bubbles, because when comes time to actually try to sand that down, you do get large pinholes that do show up, and not really a big deal, but when that does happen, I just apply another layer of body filler, but with a firm press so that it gets in between where those pinholes are, just to cover that area up. Now I'm using, I believe, 80 grit just to start off real aggressive so I can really knock this Bondo down before I actually smoothen it out. Now this is just the first prep pass that I'm doing here. I want to see how close I could actually get it to symbolizing the opposite side here, so that the curvature, which is superior to where I'm working here, that everything matches. But just giving it a quick sand down. I've decided to do it by hand and not with any electrical machine because it's a small area, and I just found it kind of difficult to actually use the machine to where I'm not affecting the neighboring parts. So this allows me to be more focused just on that particular area here. Now as you can see, the 80 grit is actually knocking it down. And I want to get it down to where it's actually starting to reveal the correct curvature of the vehicle here. I'm using my Ryobi angle grinder just to help out so that I could get much straighter lines here within the crease of the door. But it's a bit of handwork and also machine work at the same time. Whichever one I find to play a better part, but not only better, but at the same time faster, because this is a quick job. I said I would invest 4 hours of my time to actually do this. I didn't really want to put in too much I guess, of my time, because I'm actually selling the vehicle, and I told the buyer that I would actually fix this since he requested it. I was selling the truck as is, but since he requested, I figured why not, and I could document and record a video at the same time I'm doing everything here. So as you can see, on top of the first process of the body filler that I put, the first was just to create a surface for me to work on to actually get closer to the shape of the vehicle. Now here I'm kind of fine tuning, I should say, to actually help create that smooth curvature, since the first pass of the body filler kind of built me up to where I could actually see, and it reveals more of what I actually want to do. And with each step, it leads me closer to the next decisions that I make here, because I'm not following a book, pretty much just doing this by hand, and I'm just working it out. So I'm using a tape just to create a straight line, and then the angle grinder to grind the surfaces down, which I find to be a good mechanism just to kind of get it close, and it's fast, and it gives me good straight lines also, as long as you're careful. Just be careful, because there's a lot of vibration in this tool, and with vibration comes errors that could come into play if you're not careful, but safety also. Now as you can see, I believe this is a 320 grit. I'm kind of using to smoothen out the creases here, just that corner crease, so that it's not too sharp. And this is could be a 600 grit, but I've just an assortment of sandpapers. The one that I see that works better to actually grind it down to where it's not grinding down the body filler over excessively, but creating a smooth surface to where it does not lose its shape or its level compared to the superior embodying parts here. It's a slow process because I'm doing it by hand, but it allows me to actually take my time to get a feel and also get a better visualization of what I'm doing here. Now, since I got that shaped up a little better, I'm moving on to the panel here, to where I just want to cover up the areas before I move on to the primer, so that it does not adhere to the neighboring parts. Even though the bed is not that perfect, but I don't want to do things to where I guess I would make it any worse. That would just be another problem where the buyer would actually ask me like, hey, what happened here? But as you can see, it's just that corner, just to reveal a better appearance of the truck here. I'm using a Scotch pad here just to smoothen out the surface a little more. And just like I said, because it's a small area, working by hand, I find that it gives me a better feel of the surface, since it's a curved surface. Now, if this was a flat panel all the way, then so be it. I believe orbital sander would work a little better. But because it's curved, it allows me to place my hand in a curved position so that I could get a better feel for what I'm doing here. Now, just giving it a quick degrees here, and as you can see, I'm working pretty quick. This is just step by step to actually get this done here, so that I could get it out the way and move on to other things that I need to do. But as you can see, between each process, I like to give it a blow so that chemicals and any other surface applications does not adhere to cause problems when I'm moving on to the next step of the application here. Now, this is just a primer sealer that I'm using. I like to use it because I like the way it adheres. Now, the thing about this primer sealer from Eastwood, it takes a lot of time to actually get it to flash off and settle, but I'm giving it a light pass here, and I find light passes allows the primer to dry quicker. That way I can move on to the next step. Now, if I was adding on a layer, there's no way I would have been able to actually paint the vehicle today, but let it sit. And because it's outside, I don't really want to do that, because it only and also allows room for dirt, dust, and anything that could be flying by to stick to the surface, which would require another step of preparation, which I'm trying to avoid. But as you can see, because it's a real narrow area, I'm doing up and down passes, and as you can see, it looks a little better, and it's starting to reveal its true like shape and form here to where it would give the truck a better appearance. Now I'll let that flash off for about 40 minutes. I'll give it another check. And this is my tack rag. Because I let it sit, I'll just give it a nice pass just to make sure that the area is clean. I'll blow it all out and then pretty much move on to the next step. Now this is my paint here. I'm giving it a nice white coat. Now because this truck is over 10 years old, the neighboring white that is on a truck is not as bright as the new application, because there's so much debris and just old age of the paint that does not look as fresh. Now, as you can see, due to the tape lining also, there's a nice crease of new white compared to the old white that's there. So I'm gonna have to blend this in. So what I did, I created maybe 4 to 5 levels of tape paint, to where I removed one layer and I did a blend, and then I removed the second layer to do a second blend, and I kind of just worked my way up from those blending areas there. But towards the end, you will see that it all actually came into play to where it blended in well, to where there was really no concerning variation, to where it pops out to where you can actually just see that something's really off, unless you were to give it an actual good look of attention here. So I'm scuffing down the whole area now since the paint is dry, and this is where I'm going to apply my clear coat application. Now that same blend that I did do with the paint, this will not work with the clear coat. I find that you're better off just removing all of your tape and cover the whole panel, because to actually blend in the clear coat, it would reveal the areas to where the repair was done and where it was not done. So I've decided to actually scuff the top part down since I have a good blend, and I'm going to actually spray clear over that whole area just to give it a nice good wet appearance when you're looking at it up and down. Now this is a 4-to-1 mix, meaning that I'm using the graph on the cup that actually shows what the factory recommends here for the mix ratios. So 4 parts of the clear, and then just 1 part of the hardener here, and then we should be good to go. And this is just 1 cup. This is enough just to cover that area. I'll give it 1 coat, and then I'll pretty much just look and analyze the situation to see how it looks. So everything is just based on my judgment. Like I said, this is a 1-day job. It's not something that I want to spend a lot of time on. I was actually done within the window span of 5 hours, and I let it sit overnight before I removed any more of the other areas here that were covered. Now, as you can see, I'm using the Fuji Mini-Mite 5 system, and throughout the whole project here, I used a 1.3 tip did not want to use any other guns. Some things only make a big difference when you know what you're doing, I guess. It takes a lot of practice, but I find no matter what tip size you're using, 1.3 tip actually gets the job done, to where if you're setting up your gun properly and then you're using your right paint factors here, you could actually get a good outcome. So I'm using a 1.3 tip. With the clear coat, yes, I move a little faster. That way I don't get too many runs. But if I do, then there's always a area of repair and fixing to where I could get that fixed also. So this is the first coat. I let it sit for a while, and then I moved on. After 15 minutes, I gave it a second coat. This is just the bug that landed over the area here, but as you can see, YouTube, nice, shiny. I'll let it sit. I'll give it a look the next day just to see how it looks. But yes, this is my 4-hour repair, and it's all done here.